Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
All right, it is Friday. All of our guests today brought to you by Langley Chrysler. They have the vehicle for your next summer adventure. Whether you need a Jeep for the beach or a Ram for the fam, maybe you're going canoeing, you can save up to $12,000 online or on land at langleychrysler.com. Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox from Eric in Hardwood City. Sleeper pick for most physically demanding sport in the Olympics has got to be water polo.
That's true, too.
See,
right up there.
That was my vote until I watched the rowing. I'm silent. Derek was just telling me. That was my vote until I watched the rowing. Then the
water
rowing,
polo is tough.
The rowing changed.
Treading water that whole time.
I know, but the rowing, the core strength, oh, man.
Hey, can I apologize? We're getting a ton of texts into the Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. You do use your legs in rowing.
You made a lot of people mad.
I did make people. Oh, so now we got a million rowing experts? I mean, give your head a shake. I apologize. You do use your legs in rowing. I don't see it because you don't see the legs.
Weightlifting, too.
You just see the arms in the rowing, right?
Weightlifting, you use your legs as well, not just your arms.
Yeah. The clean and jerk.
That's the clean and jerk. Not the clean jerk. And apologies on two fronts there.
Yeah. Okay. Langley Chrysler brings in Jeff Paterson. How are you, sir, from Sekeres and Price?
Donnie, I'm doing well, but I just want to go back to page 6, section 4, 2.7 of your CFL plan. Something you said there in the second sentence. You mentioned kids at halftime.
Yes.
And that's a sore spot for me. And not that I have anything against kids playing a game at halftime.
You have kids.
8-year-old Jeff Paterson had his moment in the sun at Empire Stadium, halftime, wow. Whitecaps, old NASL.
Oh, my.
And the ball came to me in front of the net, had all the net in the world to shoot at, and I could not have drilled the goalie any more, like in his logo, than I did. It's a moment that still sits with me, haunts me, in fact, all these years later. So I do worry about the little kids, too much pressure being put on them to perform at halftime.
Did you cry?
Oh, probably.
8-year-old Jeff at Empire Stadium, right?
Yeah.
Empire, the turf was. Do you remember this, Jeff?
Was there turf?
It was like cement. Like it was so hard, Jeff. Do you remember that?
I do, and I don't think people that haven't been on the turf at Empire, and I know that the stadium's no longer there, but the crown, and there you go, right?
Yeah.
That's for you. The crown in the middle, and I mean like the actual
drainage
pitch, not the drink.
Yeah, the drainage,
like you're running uphill when we were playing sideways, because we played a half game like across the field.
Yeah.
And honestly, like you're either playing uphill or downhill because there was absolute slope to the field for drainage.
Yep.
Let's talk some hockey, Jeff. After the just how busy it was the last couple of weeks for Jim Benning, do you see the Canucks as a playoff team, Jeff?
I like a lot of what the Canucks accomplished here in the last couple of weeks, Don, and I like the way they went about their business. And I think a lot of that was a reaction internally to what happened last October when they looked like they were completely unprepared, and we know that it wasn't a good look on the organization and all the unrestricted free agents that walked out the door. It felt like they had their ducks in a row this time around. Now, credit where it's due. At the same time, that's their job, and they've been through enough of these free agent periods that you'd like to think that this would be more the norm. But I thought that there was some real finesse shown. They had to multitask. Oh, my goodness, they were busy when you think of the trades and the draft itself, and then signing Klimovich and signing Garland as quickly as they did after the trade, and then all that they accomplished at the NHL and the AHL level on Wednesday. Like, there was a lot of work, and I think a lot of good work, but I'm like a lot of people. I still have real concerns about the back end, and then it kind of feels to me like they cornered the market on depth defensemen, but this is the NHL we're talking about. Other teams have really good forwards, and you need somebody that can stop them. And the defense has been an issue for the Canucks, so they have turned bodies over. But that seemed like an overpayment for Tucker Poolman. And I think Tucker Poolman can play in the NHL, but, talking to people in Winnipeg, they all said, like, as a third pairing guy, sure. But if you're expecting him to play higher in the lineup, and it kind of feels like you're going to have Hamonic and Hughes and then Poolman and OEL. Well, you're already betting an awful lot and banking on OEL having a bounce-back season. Now, all of a sudden, the guy on the right side is really a third-pair defenseman, but you're going to ask him to play, a matchup shutdown kind of role. So that concerns me. And, I've got all the confidence in the world in Quinn Hughes, and I think he'll take the struggles from last year to heart. But again, you're hoping that he gets things sorted out defensively, that he hits the ground running with a preseason and a training camp and everything else, but he doesn't have a contract. And so there's no guarantee that he's going to be around for training camp in the preseason. I hope they get things done. I listened to the interview with J.P. Barry, but, the only leverage he has as a 10-2C guy is to withhold his services. And nobody wants it to get to that, but, that's business sometimes. So my issues and my concerns are around the defense core. If those guys can step up, if they can overperform and prove a lot of people wrong, then, I think in the Pacific Division, the Canucks have an opportunity. I like their top nine. Like, I'm really excited about the top nine and the possibilities that Travis Green has. And I'm a believer in Thatcher Demko, but he's now a number one guy. The general manager has said they've got to be a playoff team, so this puts pressure on the most important position on your hockey club. Demko has never been the starter in an 82-game season with travel and everything else. I like the Halak move, but again, he's got to come in here and prove that at 36 he can still perform at a relatively high level for the Vancouver Canucks. But, if you're banking on players, as long as they can get Pettersson and Hughes done, then placing bets on Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, Thatcher Demko, those seem like pretty safe bets because I think all of those guys have shown that they can get the job done. And you go back to the bubble, most of the Canucks' success was really on the backs of those young players.
Jeff, I can't remember if you were on before or after Alex Edler signed with the Kings, but did his signing with the Kings on Wednesday take you by surprise in that he didn't go to, and I don't know what the offers were like for him, didn't go to a cup contender like we all expected?
Yeah, I think it did, Donnie, just because that seemed to be the storyline, that if he had made this difficult decision to sort of close the chapter on the only team that he played for, you had to figure that he was convinced that he was going to go shop his services and probably, well, not probably, he was going to have to find a new place to play next season. And it felt like after all the years, particularly recently, of struggles with the Canucks, that handpicking a good team would make sense. I think there's a lot to like about the Los Angeles Kings. I think they're still a couple of years away. But, when you think about Alex Edler, the person, pretty low-key, fairly reserved, understated, life in one of those beach communities just south of Los Angeles, not so bad. So, he can just go and play hockey and not worry about a lot of the other things that come with a hockey mad market. He had done such a masterful job, though, in Vancouver. Like, honestly, I think he was toying with us in the media for so many years where, if you ever had the chance to talk to Alex one-on-one, he could be an engaging guy. There was a sort of a dry sense of humor there, really perceptive about the game and the locker room and everything else. But the minute you had a scrum around him with microphones and cameras and lights and everything else, there just wasn't much there. And he had kind of created that persona that he didn't give us much. And in turn, over the years, we all in the media learned to go elsewhere. And, really, it was a pretty good play, I think, on his part. He won't have to worry about that, though, in Los Angeles at Staples Center. But December 6th is going to be a really, that'll be a special night. Him coming back, first time that the Canucks and the Kings meet this season. And you can bet the Canucks put together a nice little video the other day. It may be that one, and maybe it's a bigger one. Whatever the case, he'll get the video tribute. He'll get a massive standing ovation, and someday he'll be up in the Ring of Honor.
Jeff, a lot of changes with the Canucks. I really like what they did in Abbotsford. The owner spent a ton of money. They're going to have one of the highest payrolls in the American Hockey League. I see depth. I see Bailey, Patan, McEwen. I see Ulevy, Shen, Hunt, Burrows, all willing to come in and step in when there's injuries. Your views on what the moves that were made in Abbotsford?
Yeah, and that was always the case, that they had to get some work done. But you're right, they spent some money and a not an insignificant amount. And so now you've got players that, should be able to put together a pretty good performance on the ice around some of the guys that you've got within your own stable already, some of the draft choices. A name you mentioned there, Rick, Olli Juolevi, is really fascinating to me.
Yes.
He's 23 now. He's an RFA, and his qualifying offer was around $900,000. I'm surprised that he didn't take it and run, quite frankly, to get an NHL contract, because I just don't know where he slots in. Like, Brad Hunt has a ton of experience in the NHL, and a guy that can run a power play if need be. Like, as we sit here right now, I think you've got Hughes, you've got OEL, and I give Rathbone the leg up for, the third defensive pairing. Like, Olli Juolevi was on the taxi squad last year. He barely played late in the season when Travis Green could have played him. He didn't. And kind of like Cole Lind, who was in and out of the lineup. And I think, you can read into that, that maybe there wasn't that much trust between the coach and that player in particular. But if he's just going to be a depth guy here, like, how does he develop? He's 23 and he's played 23 NHL games. And then you've got Brad Hunt, who, people that have talked to him since he signed here says, like, Abbotsford, yeah, sure, I'm coming to make the Canucks. And he's played in the NHL. And was a teammate of Nolan Baumgartner's years ago with the Chicago Wolves. Like, there's some familiarity with the defensive coach here. You've got Guillaume Brisebois in the system as well. I wonder. I don't know the answer, but I am curious about where Olli Juolevi fits in the grand scheme and the grand plan for the Vancouver Canucks.
I agree with you 100%. And by the way, Juolevi, they didn't accept their qualifying offer, but they're working on it. It's not a big thing. They're working on a new contract right now as we speak.
Hey, Jeff, you reminded Vancouver fans during Wednesday, which was chaotic. It was July 28th, that it was the 24th anniversary of Mark Messier signing with the Canucks. What do you remember about that day?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess my judgment is clouded by the way the 3 years worked out. The day itself, you're thinking you're getting one of the great leaders in professional sports and, just this resume of excellence and everything else, but clearly it didn't work out that way. I can remember one of the locker clearouts when the years of failure, and it was a newswoman who came in and sort of asked the pointed question about do you feel you've lived up to your contract, and he looked straight into the camera and said yeah, and like all these years later, like we know how he is thought of in Vancouver, so it didn't work out that way. He went on to play and play at a relatively high level. But for whatever reason, all I remember, honestly, Donnie, I don't know if it's one of my favorite memories, but I think my first year on the job in Vancouver covering the Canucks, Messier was here. It was his birthday. It was his 39th birthday, and I thought I would break the ice. It was a practice day, and there was a fairly small scrum around him, and I thought I'd break the ice by saying, 39 and your final birthday? To which he retorted, why, am I going to die?
Nice.
He didn't get it.
I didn't want to inform him that, yes, somewhere down the road, Mark, you will. It's inevitable. But, yeah, he didn't get the joke. So, anyways.
Wow.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. No doubt about it. Hey, Jeff, thanks for this, and thanks for being on board with us twice a week since as we head off into August here. Twice a week since April 5th. Thank you so much.
What? You guys are taking a break? I hadn't heard that. Look, I am so proud of what you guys have been able to start up, and to have been a small part of it has just been incredible. I mean, these last few months, what a fundamental shift, a seismic shift in the landscape here. So for you guys to be among the first that got up and running, to do what you do and provide the laughs you do for the market, go enjoy your break. Dolly, you've earned it with the last couple of weeks. Don, you've earned it for these last few months carrying these two guys and dealing with them on the regular. A little disappointed, though. Dolly's been prepared for summer for weeks with the shirts, and I thought maybe you would join him here on the final show before the break.
I asked him. I told him. I said, Hawaiian Friday, they don't do it. They don't do it.
Maybe we'll be on board in September if we still have jobs. Jeff, thanks for this.
You bet, guys.